When I say honesty isn't an attack, it's a wake-up call. Most people flinch before they even hear the full sentence. That's because we live in a world where everyone is trained to expect comfort, even when comfort is the very thing holding them down. People don't fear the truth because it's cruel. They fear it because it reflects something they've been running from for years. And the moment that reflection finally catches up, it feels like a punch. Not because someone swung at you, but because you've been pretending there was nothing to get hit by. That's where the sting comes from, not the truth itself, but the illusion breaking. And when illusions break, reality steps in. Reality isn't gentle. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't apologize, but it does show you exactly what you needed to see. Most of the time, when someone gets offended by honesty, it's because it collided with something they didn't want to confront. It poked at a weakness they kept, tucked away, or it hit a gap between who they pretend to be and who they really are. And guess what? That's not cruelty. That's clarity. It's like being shaken awake after oversleeping your whole life. Sure, it's annoying. Sure, it's uncomfortable. But if nobody woke you up, you'd miss everything. Your purpose, your potential, your evolution. People crave motivation, but they resist the very thing that sparks it, the truth that disrupts their comfortable patterns. They say they want change, but the moment change starts with an honest sentence, they take it personally. They hear a truth about their habits or choices and immediately react like someone insulted their soul. But the truth isn't pointing at your soul, it's pointing at your behavior. It's pointing at the version of you that you crafted out of excuses, fear, and avoidance. Honesty becomes painful only when you want to stay the same. If you were ready to grow, you'd welcome it like someone handing you a map when you're lost. But the mind resists because the mind hates feeling exposed. It hates knowing that someone else saw what you were trying to hide from yourself. And that's why honesty stings. It's the sudden awareness that you can't keep pretending. It's like the moment a light flips on in a messy room. You get mad at the light, but the light didn't make the mess. It just revealed it. That's how truth works. When someone tells you honestly that you're wasting time, or sabotaging your relationships, or making excuses that sound like reasons, they're not attacking you. They're turning the lights on. And your reaction tells you everything about whether you want the room cleaned or want to keep tripping over your own clutter. If you think back on your life, the moments that truly changed you weren't the soft ones. They weren't the moments someone told you what you wanted to hear. They were the moments someone looked you in the eye and said the thing you needed to hear but didn't want to face. Maybe it was a teacher, maybe a friend, maybe someone you dated, maybe even a stranger. Someone told you, bluntly, this isn't working, or you're better than this, or you're lying to yourself. And yeah, maybe you got defensive, maybe you were annoyed. Maybe you even walked away thinking they were wrong. But later, when the emotions settled and the ego stopped screaming, you realized that was the moment something shifted. Because honesty plants the seed before you're ready for the harvest. It hits you now so you can grow later. And if it hurt, it was because that seed had to break open something inside you first. People want gentle truths, but gentle truths don't create powerful people. They create comfortable people. They create people who stay stuck in cycles, repeating the same patterns until life forces them to learn the same lesson the hard way. And life is not delicate in its honesty. Life will repeat the truth louder and louder until you listen. Someone might tell you softly the first time, hey, you're slipping, you're settling, you're not giving your best. If you ignore that, life tells you, again, through bigger consequences. Ignore those, and it shouts through loss, regret, missed chances, and the weight of your own inaction. So when someone gives you honesty early, that isn't an attack. That's a gift. It's an invitation to face something now before life makes you face it painfully later. When honesty comes from someone who genuinely wants to see you rise, it's one of the purest forms of respect. It means they believe you can handle the truth. It means they think you're capable of improvement. It means they see more in you than you might see in yourself. People who don't care about you won't bother telling you anything real. They'll nod, encourage your bad habits, agree with your excuses, and let you walk into your own downfall without a word. But the ones who care enough to be truthful, they're the ones shaking you awake. They're saying, you've got more in you than this version you're settling for. And yes, that might hurt, but that hurt is actually your potential waking up. You know what the real problem usually is? Ego. Ego is the part of you that can't handle being wrong, being corrected, or being exposed. Ego makes honesty feel like an insult even when it's guidance. Ego hears, you can improve. and translates it as, you're not good enough. Ego hears, you're making a mistake, and translates it as, you're a failure. Ego hears, you need to change, and translates it as, you're worthless. But none of those translations are true. They're distortions. They're defense mechanisms. When ego drives a reaction, honesty feels like an attack. But when growth drives a reaction, honesty feels like direction. It feels like someone pointing at the path you couldn't see because you were too busy protecting your pride. Imagine how much you'd grow if you stopped defending your flaws and started addressing them. If someone tells you you're slacking, instead of getting offended, imagine taking a second to ask yourself whether they're right. Imagine how powerful you'd become if you stopped reacting emotionally to truth and started responding constructively. That shift alone could transform your entire life. Because when you stop viewing honesty as an attack and start viewing it as information, everything changes. You stop personalizing everything. You stop assuming every correction is judgment. You stop thinking every critique is a threat. Instead, you see truth as alignment. You see it as calibration. You see it as an opportunity to become the version of yourself you keep claiming you want to be. The truth is, the people who grow the fastest are the ones who stopped seeking comfort and started seeking clarity. They don't want sugarcoating. They want accuracy. They want reality. They want someone to tell them where they're falling short so they can fix it before it becomes permanent. They don't fear honesty because they understand something most people never learn. The sooner you face the truth, the sooner you can change your life. And the people who run from honesty, they stay trapped, repeating their own patterns because they never let truth break their cycle. You can't be offended by every truth and expect to grow. You can't avoid the sting and expect transformation. You can't protect your ego and expect evolution. Growth begins the moment you stop taking honesty personally and start taking it seriously. The moment you realize that the hurt isn't the enemy, it's the catalyst. And if it hurt you today, maybe that's exactly why you needed it. Because sometimes the truth doesn't come to break you, it comes to break what's been holding you back. The pain of truth being more valuable than the comfort of lies is one of those realities people don't really want to accept. Because accepting it means admitting that the things that hurt you the most might actually be the things saving you. And that sounds backward, right? You think comfort is what keeps you stable, grounded, at peace. But comfort isn't peace. Comfort is a trap. Comfort is the slow drip of warm water that keeps you relaxed while life quietly slips past. And the only thing that cuts through that haze is truth. And truth never whispers. It hits, it shakes, it disrupts. That's why it hurts. But anything powerful enough to change you is never going to show up gently. It's going to hit where it matters. It's going to hit where you've been avoiding. It's going to hit where the lie has been living. Lies are easy because they blend into your life like background noise. They don't demand anything from you. They don't challenge your assumptions. They don't make you uncomfortable. Lies give you a comfortable place to sit, while everything you want stays just out of reach. They let you say it's not your fault, or that the timing isn't right, or that things will somehow improve without your involvement, and that feels good. It feels safe. It feels like someone wrapped you in a blanket and told you everything will magically fix itself. But nothing fixes itself. Comfort simply lets you delay the repair until the damage becomes so big that you can't escape it anymore. The pain of truth, though it forces you to see the cracks now, it hits like cold water in the face after you've been drifting off. It wakes every part of you that comfort lulled to sleep. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if it ruins the image you built of yourself. It doesn't care if you weren't planning on dealing with this today. Truth shows up because it refuses to let you live small. It refuses to let you live blind. It refuses to let you keep lying to yourself just because lies feel softer. People don't understand how dangerous comfort is. They think pain is the enemy, discomfort is the enemy, confrontation is the enemy, but comfort is the thing that steals your best years without making a sound. Comfort is the thing that convinces you you're okay when you're actually not even close. Comfort is that little voice saying, "It's fine, you can deal with it later," knowing you probably won't. And the more you listen to that voice, the more you shrink into a version of yourself that no longer matches the dreams you once had. Comfort is what kills the bigger version of you long before you ever meet it. Truth interrupts that. It disrupts your excuses so loudly you can't pretend not to hear them. It tells you you're the one holding yourself back. It points at the habits that are ruining your chances. It exposes the people you shouldn't be trusting. It calls out the patterns you've been repeating so long you started calling them personality. Truth does not care. about your feelings, but it cares deeply about your life. And that's why it hurts, because the things that could transform you won't feel gentle at first. They'll feel like loss, like embarrassment, like confrontation, like responsibility. But responsibility is the doorway to transformation, and the truth is the only thing that pushes you through it. Think about every moment you grew. Not the moments you felt good, those didn't teach you much. The moments you changed were the ones where something cut deep, a breakup that forced you to face your flaws, a failure that made you question your preparation, a friend telling you bluntly that you were wasting your potential, a moment where you realized you weren't who you said you were. Those moments burned, they knocked the wind out of you, but they also pushed you to evolve. Comfort never does that. Comfort pats you on the back and says, you're fine as you are, even when you know you're not. We're conditioned to crave the soft version of everything. Soft truths, soft criticism, soft reminders. But soft truths rarely change hard lives. People want honesty that doesn't hurt, but honesty that doesn't hurt isn't honesty, it's diplomacy. It's someone trying to protect your feelings instead of your future. And when someone protects your feelings at the cost of your growth, that's not kindness, that's enabling. It's easier to tell someone what they want to hear than to tell them what they actually need. But the comfort of lies has a silent price, and the price is your potential. When someone gives you a painful truth, they are giving you a chance to break the cycle before the cycle breaks you. They're saying, I see something you don't want to admit yet. They're giving you a shortcut to self-awareness, even if it feels like a slap at first. And here's the thing most people don't realize. The more intensely a truth hurts, the more deeply it applies to you. The pain intensity is just the amount of truth you've been avoiding. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the indicator. Pain is the signal that you are finally touching something real. People think lies protect them, but lies only protect your comfort, not your future. Lies protect your ego, not your development. Lies protect the image, not the identity. They build a soft world around you that collapses the moment reality touches it. Truth builds the opposite. It builds structure, clarity, strength, direction. Truth may feel harsh, but it gives you something to stand on. It gives you something solid. Lies give you a cushion. Truth gives you a foundation. You'll never meet a truly strong person who got there by avoiding truth. They got there by facing it early, often, and without flinching. They understood that the sting fades, but the lesson stays. They learned to appreciate the discomfort because discomfort meant growth. They learned to value the painful truth because it saved them from future suffering. They realized that every honest moment, no matter how brutal, was shaping them into someone capable of more than the version who needed lies to feel okay. And the irony is, once you start embracing truth, even the painful kind, you become harder to break because you're no longer afraid of reality. You're no longer afraid of being wrong. You're no longer afraid of improving. That's what makes truth powerful. It frees you from the need to pretend. It frees you from the pressure to maintain an image. It frees you from the weight of hiding your weaknesses. And when you're free from all that, nothing can hold you back. But as long as you keep choosing the comfort of lies, nothing in your life changes. You stay the same person, repeating the same story, living the same patterns. And eventually, life forces the truth on you in a way you can't avoid. Because truth is patient, but it's persistent. You can delay facing it, but you can't escape it. And when you finally meet it after years of avoiding it, it doesn't hurt less, it hurts more. So the truth hurting now is never the worst thing. The worst thing is the truth hurting later, when the consequences are bigger, the damage is deeper, and the opportunities you ignored have already passed. The comfort of lies keeps you stuck. The pain of truth sets you free. And if the truth stings today, it's because it arrived right on time. When I say the world won't change unless you change first, people nod like they agree, but deep down, they're hoping the world will adjust itself around their habits, their comfort, their pace. They want life to get easier, opportunities to land perfectly, people to treat them better, circumstances to magically fall into place, all without them having to shift anything inside themselves. It's almost funny how we expect the world to bend while we stay rigid. We want everything outside us to improve while everything inside us stays exactly the same. But life doesn't work like that. Life mirrors you. Life reflects you. Life gives you back the energy, discipline, honesty, and courage. You show it. If you're stagnant, life becomes stagnant. If you grow, life expands. If you stay small, life shrinks around you. Nothing changes unless you do. And it's not because the world is unfair or cruel. It's because the world responds to who you are becoming, not who you were yesterday. People love to say, when things get better, I'll change. But the truth is the opposite. Things get better because you change. The moment your thoughts shift, your actions shift. When your actions shift, your habits shift. When your habits shift, your outcomes shift. And when your outcomes shift, your entire life unfolds differently. But it all starts inside, long before anything outside of you looks any different. We're so used to blaming circumstances that we don't realize how much power we actually have. We blame lack of time, lack of support, lack of resources, lack of motivation, but all those things aren't the real problem. The real problem is waiting for the world to give you permission to grow, waiting for the right moment, the right conditions, the right feeling. Growth doesn't wait for the perfect moment, it creates it. The world doesn't give you motivation, you find it by taking action even when you don't feel like it. And the universe doesn't reward intentions, it rewards follow-through. Every big shift in your life starts with a small shift in your mentality. And that shift usually comes wrapped in honesty. Honest moments where you admit to yourself that things can't continue the way they are. Honest moments where you stop pretending everything is fine. Honest moments where you recognize your role in your own patterns. Those moments can feel brutal because they strip away the excuses you've been using as shields. But those moments are the doorways to change. Without them, you'd keep walking in circles, repeating the same behaviors, hoping for different results. People think change requires massive action, but the truth is, most transformation starts with one painful realization, that you've been holding yourself back more than the world has. That hits hard. It's not easy to admit. It's easier to say life is unfair. Easier to say people did you wrong. Easier to say you didn't get the chance you deserved. But deep down, you know there were moments you could have done more. Days you could have shown up better. Opportunities you could have taken but didn't because you were scared, tired, unprepared, or stuck in your comfort zone. And once you acknowledge that, even quietly to yourself, the entire world starts to shift because now you're looking inward instead of outward. Your world doesn't change when you get a new job or meet a new person or move to a new place. Those things help, sure, but real change happens when you become someone who can handle those opportunities, someone who can sustain those improvements, someone who doesn't sabotage the good things they receive. Life doesn't give new rooms to the old version of you. It pushes you to evolve so you can grow into the space you've been dreaming about. The world has a strange way of holding up a mirror to your internal state. When you're undisciplined, everything feels chaotic. When you lack boundaries, people walk over you. When you avoid honesty, problems pile up. When you're insecure, you chase validation that keeps slipping away. But as you strengthen internally, your confidence, your honesty, your discipline, your self-respect, the outside world reacts accordingly. Suddenly, you stop tolerating things that once drained you. You start attracting people who align with your growth. You start making decisions that move you forward instead of sideways. Nothing changed out there, you changed, and the world followed. You can't wait for motivation to begin growing. Motivation shows up after you start. You can't wait for clarity to start making moves. Clarity shows up after you begin walking. You can't wait for the world to understand you, appreciate you, or support you. That happens after you show up consistently enough that the world has no choice but to take you seriously. Most people want to skip the part where they change first. They want the rewards without the internal rewiring. But life doesn't hand out rewards for staying the same. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands a version of you that you haven't met yet. It asks for habits you haven't built, confidence you haven't earned, patience you haven't practiced, boundaries you haven't enforced, and that can feel overwhelming. But the alternative is staying exactly where you are, wanting better, but doing nothing different. And the pain of staying stuck eventually becomes heavier than the discomfort of change. When people say the world is unfair, sometimes what they mean is they're unwilling to evolve into the person their goals require. The world is actually very consistent. You put in effort, you see movement. You put in honesty, you see clarity. You put in discipline, you see results. You put in growth, you see transformation. The world responds to energy, not wishes. It responds to consistency, not complaints. It responds to change, not comfort. The painful truth is that nothing you want will come to you if you're not growing into the version of yourself who can hold it. Not because life is cruel, but because life protects you from things you're not ready for yet. Imagine wanting a relationship but lacking the communication skills to build one. Imagine wanting success but lacking the discipline to maintain it. Imagine wanting respect but lacking the boundaries to earn it. The world isn't denying you, it's preparing you. But that preparation begins with you. Change doesn't show up with fireworks. It shows up in small decisions you make every day. Waking up on time, being honest with yourself, not settling, letting go of people who drain you, taking responsibility for your actions, showing up even when you don't feel like it. And one day, after all those small internal shifts, the world you live in looks nothing like the one you started in. Doors open, opportunities appear, people treat you differently, you feel different. And that's because you changed first. The world mirrors who you are, not who you say you want to be. And if you want the mirror to reflect something better, you have to become something better. That's the truth people avoid, not because it's harsh, but because it puts the power back in their hands. And having power means having responsibility. Responsibility means effort. Effort means discomfort. And discomfort means growth. But once you embrace that, once you understand that the world moves when you move, everything becomes possible. Because when you evolve, everything around you has no choice but to evolve with you. And that's when life starts opening in ways you never imagined. When you finally realize that the world wasn't waiting to change, it was waiting for you. People always say they want honesty, but the moment someone gives it to them straight, they act like they've been betrayed. They take it as an insult, a personal attack, or a sign of disrespect. But the truth is the opposite. The people who care about you the most are the ones who refuse to lie to you. They refuse to pretend everything is fine when it isn't. They refuse to sugarcoat things that could destroy you later. They refuse to let you drift through life blindfolded just because you prefer comfort over clarity. Real care has a sharp edge, and sometimes it cuts, but it cuts so you can heal, not so you can bleed. Look at your life. Think about the people who never tell you anything real. The ones who only agree with you, only flatter you, only nod their heads, no matter what decision you're making. They let you walk into bad situations, stay in toxic cycles, waste your time, destroy your opportunities, and become a weaker version of yourself, all because they don't care enough to disturb your comfort. Those people aren't allies, they're spectators. If they cared, they would speak up. Silence is the language of convenience, not love. And then look at the people who risk your reaction. The ones who tell you things you don't want to hear. The ones who point out the flaws you try to hide. The ones who call you out when you're slipping. The ones who say, I know this might upset you, but you need to hear it. That takes guts. That takes sincerity. That takes a level of concern that goes deeper than politeness or approval. They could have stayed quiet. They could have avoided the discomfort. They could have chosen the easy route, but they didn't. They chose truth because they actually see something in you worth protecting, even if that protection comes with a sting. People often confuse realness with rudeness, but realness isn't rude. Realness is responsibility. When someone cares enough to be honest, it means they hold themselves responsible for helping you avoid mistakes, avoid self-deception, avoid patterns that will ruin you. They're not laughing at you. They're not trying to embarrass you. They're trying to hold a mirror steady even when you're tempted to look away. That's not cruelty, that's commitment. The truth rarely comes from people who don't care. Think about it. Strangers don't bother correcting you because they don't have a stake in your growth. Fake friends won't do it because they'd rather keep the peace than help you improve. Weak people won't do it because they fear your reaction more than they value your evolution. Only the people who genuinely want to see you become better will risk the tension, risk the argument, risk the temporary discomfort of honesty. You know what's funny? People get angrier at the truth teller than they do at their own behavior. Someone will warn them they're making a bad choice, and instead of listening, they'll accuse that person of being negative or unsupportive. But later, maybe months, maybe years, when the consequences hit, they remember that one person who tried to tell them. They remember the warning they brushed off. They remember the care they mistook for criticism. And in that moment, they realize that the truth wasn't the problem their ego was. The honest voice was the one trying to save them from exactly what they ended up going through. That's why honesty from people who care matters so much. It doesn't come from superiority. It comes from empathy. It comes from someone seeing you drift off track and reaching out to pull you back before you fall. It comes from someone who would rather risk upsetting you than risk losing you to your own blind spots. It comes from someone who sees your potential more clearly than you do sometimes. People who care don't enable your excuses. They don't clap for your mediocrity. They don't pretend you're right when you're wrong. They don't stand by and watch you ruin your life quietly. They step in. They intervene. They say, this behavior isn't you, or you're settling, or you can do better, or you're lying to yourself and you know it. And yes, those words can hit hard. They can make you defensive. They can bruise your pride, but pride isn't the point. Growth is. You'll notice that the older you get, the more you value the people who tell you the truth. When you're young, you think honesty is harsh. You think it's judgmental. You think it's unnecessary. But once life humbles you a few times, once comfort leads you into the wrong situations, once silence from others costs you opportunities, you start realizing that honest people are rare, and their honesty is priceless. The people who love you won't always say what you want to hear, but they will say what you need to hear. And the ones who need constant approval will leave you empty. Approval feels good in the moment, but it does nothing for your evolution. Honesty might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it sets your life on a better path. It corrects you, strengthens you, challenges you, elevates you. That's the kind of support that actually matters. And let's be real, true honesty isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to shake you. It's meant to stop you from drifting. It's meant to prevent silent destruction. People who care enough to be honest don't want to hurt you. They just don't want to watch you hurt yourself. They want to hold you to a higher standard because they know you're capable of it. They see the bigger version of you, the version you keep losing under excuses or fear or self-protection. Their honesty is a way of pulling you back toward that version. You might get upset at someone for telling you the truth today, but you'll thank them for it later. Because when someone is willing to give you uncomfortable truth instead of comfortable silence, that person is giving you a chance you wouldn't give yourself. They're giving you the one thing lies can never provide growth. The ones who care won't let you settle. They won't let you slip. They won't let you hide behind nice-sounding excuses. They won't let you become something smaller than you can be. They'll push you. They'll challenge you. They'll hold you accountable. Not because they enjoy confronting you, but because they'd rather see you evolve than see you stuck. So before you get angry at someone for being honest, ask yourself one thing. Would someone who didn't care tell you that? The answer is almost always no. The people who care are the ones who risk the friction. The ones who love you are the ones who refuse to lie. And the people who want the best for you are the ones who will never choose your comfort over your growth. Because the ones who truly care are the ones who keep it real even when real hurts.